everyone. I'm Tatiana Derugina, Professor of Finance at the University of Illinois, and this is Econ Quick Takes. Today, let's talk about taxation and why we do it. There are basically two reasons: to raise revenue or to discourage something. And there are better and worse ways to tax. Governments need money to pay for things that private markets don't reliably provide on their own: national defense, courts, basic research, public infrastructure, safety nets, and so on. Taxes on income, sales, property, and profits fund those services. Here, the goal isn't to change behavior. It's to collect money in a way that's predictable and fair while minimizing economic distortions. But sometimes an activity imposes costs on others that aren't reflected in its price. Think pollution or traffic congestion. These are examples of what we call a market failure. A well-designed tax, like a price for emitting pollution or a congestion charge, can push private choices closer to what's socially optimal by making people and firms pay for the harm they create. These kinds of taxes are the best kind of taxes because when they're well designed, they raise revenue and reduce harm. Why are these the best kind of taxes? Because taxes that are implemented purely to raise revenue sometimes have unintended consequences because they also discourage the activity that's being taxed. For example, a higher payroll tax might reduce formal employment at the margin. A narrow sales tax can push purchases off online or across borders. High excise taxes can fuel black markets. High property taxes can discourage new construction. Steep taxes on investment income can slow innovation and risk-taking. Heavy corporate taxes can shift profits and sometimes jobs to other countries. The list goes on and on. But we can't necessarily raise all the revenue we need from taxes that correct market failures. Luckily, economists have come up with three broad principles of tax design that minimize unintended consequences while raising needed revenue. First, and perhaps most obvious, good tax systems aim for neutrality. They look for ways to raise money in ways that have minimal impact on how, where, and when people and firms work, save, or invest. Second, it's generally better to apply lower tax rates to a broad base than to impose high rates on a narrow one. That makes the system more stable, limits tax avoidance, and reduces distortions in behavior. Finally, taxes work best when they're simple and predictable. Clear, consistent rules make it easier for households and businesses to plan ahead and keep compliance high. By contrast, frequent changes in tax rates or rules can discourage long-term planning and investment. Thanks for watching. This has been Econ Quick Takes.